Picture this. You're standing in the wreckage of a dream that didn't come true. Your heart pounds. Your mind screams, "You failed." And for a moment, you believe it. But what if I told you? Failure isn't the end. What if I told you, right now, in this very moment, you hold the power to turn your setback into your greatest comeback? We've all been there. The moment when everything you worked for crumbles before your eyes. The rejection letter, the lost job, the broken relationship, the shattered dream. And when failure strikes, it whispers lies. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. You should quit. But hear me now. Failure is not your identity. It is an event, not a definition. The greatest achievers in history, Edison, Oprah, Jordan, Jobs, stood in the face of failure. But they did one thing differently. They refused to let it define them. The problem is that most of us have been conditioned to fear failure. Since childhood, we've been taught that mistakes mean punishment, that failing a test means you're not smart enough, that losing means you're not talented enough. Society has painted failure as something shameful, something to be avoided at all costs. But that belief is a lie. Think about the moments in life that shaped you the most. Were they the times when everything went perfectly? Or were they the times when you struggled, fell, and had to find the strength to rise again? It's in the struggle that we grow. It's in the failures that we gain wisdom, resilience, and true confidence. If you're feeling lost, defeated, or stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, I want you to take a deep breath. Right now, in this moment, you are not broken. You are not defeated. You are in the middle of a transformation. And that transformation begins with how you choose to see failure. Today, we rewrite the story of failure. Today, we learn how to rise stronger, how to overcome without losing the one thing that can never be taken from you, your confidence. The biggest mistake we make is believing that failure is the opposite of success. It's not. Failure is not the enemy. It is the path to success. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. Every setback is a stepping stone. But too often, we see failure as a dead end instead of a detour leading us to something greater. Think about Thomas Edison. Over 1,000 failed attempts at inventing the light bulb. But did he call himself a failure? No. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Imagine if he had given up after his 100th attempt, his 500th attempt, or his 999th attempt. The world would have remained in darkness a little longer. But here's the real question. How do you see failure in your own life? Do you see it as proof that you're not good enough? Do you let it define you? Or do you have the courage to ask, what is this failure teaching me?
Failure isn't there to break you. It's there to build you. It shows you what doesn't work so you can get closer to what does. It forces you to grow in ways success never could. It sharpens you. It humbles you. It strengthens your resilience. Look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine if he had taken that failure as a final verdict and quit. Instead, he used it as motivation. He trained harder, practiced longer, and transformed that failure into a championship mindset. So let me ask you, are you willing to learn from failure? Are you willing to extract the lesson instead of wallowing in the loss? Every time you fail, you have two choices. You can either let failure define you, or you can let it refine you. And the moment you choose to let failure refine you, you take your first step toward greatness.
When you fail, the loudest voice you'll hear is your own. And that voice will do one of two things: lift you up or tear you down. Failure itself doesn't destroy confidence. What destroys confidence is the way you talk to yourself after you fail. If you tell yourself, "I'm a failure," your brain believes it. If you say, "I'll never succeed," your potential shrinks. But if you reframe the way you speak to yourself, you can turn failure into fuel. Think about the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Do you think they never failed? Of course they did. but they mastered the art of speaking to themselves with strength, not self-doubt. Muhammad Ali didn't wait for the world to believe in him. He declared, "I am the greatest," long before he became the champion. He spoke confidence into existence. And that's what you must do. Instead of saying, "I failed," say, "I learned." Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," say, "I am growing." Instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "I will find a way." Science backs this up. Studies show that positive self-talk rewires your brain. When you replace self-criticism with self-empowerment, you build resilience. You program yourself for success. And here's the key. Confidence isn't about never failing. It's about knowing that failure doesn't define you. The moment you change the way you speak to yourself, you change your entire future. So the next time you fail, listen closely to your inner voice. Is it tearing you down, or is it pushing you forward? Because in that moment, you have a choice. You can be your biggest enemy, or you can be your greatest coach. And the battle is always won in the mind. Failure is painful. It stings. It can make you question everything about yourself. But do not for a second allow it to turn you into a victim. Because the moment you start blaming the economy, blaming other people, blaming bad luck, you give away your power. Champions don't blame. They adjust. They analyze. They take full responsibility for their failures, not because they enjoy feeling defeated, but because they understand this truth. You cannot change what you do not own. Think about this. If your business fails and you blame the market, what have you learned? Nothing. But if you take ownership and say, "I didn't adapt fast enough," or "I need to improve my strategy," then suddenly you have something to work with. You have the power to change. Look at athletes who lose a game. The weak ones complain about the referee, the weather, or bad luck. The great ones go back to the gym and train harder. They review their mistakes, they refine their techniques, and they come back stronger. This is how you must approach failure in your own life. When you fail an exam, don't say, "The test was unfair." Instead, ask yourself, "How can I study differently?" If you lose an opportunity, don't say, "It wasn't meant for me." Instead, ask, "What skills do I need to develop?" Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Brick by brick, action by action. And the biggest mistake people make is thinking they need to feel confident before they take action. That's not how it works. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't wait to feel confident before taking their first step. They stumble, they fall, they get back up. And with every step, they build the confidence to walk, then run. The same principle applies to every area of life. Most people hold themselves back, waiting for the right moment. They say, "I'll start when I'm ready." But the truth is, you will never feel 100% ready. The people who succeed aren't the ones who wait. They're the ones who start despite the fear, despite the doubt, despite the uncertainty. You don't feel ready to start that business? Start anyway. You don't feel confident speaking up? Speak anyway. You don't feel like trying again after failure? Try anyway. Because every time you take action, you prove to yourself that you are capable. And with each small win, your confidence grows. Look at some of the greatest performers in the world. Actors, athletes, speakers. Do you think they never feel nervous? Even the best still feel fear. Before stepping on stage, before competing, before performing. But they do it anyway. And that's what makes them great. Confidence is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. But if you push through discomfort, if you show up even when you're scared, that muscle grows stronger. And soon, what once terrified you becomes second nature. So don't wait for confidence to magically appear. Build it, one action at a time, step by step. Because the only way to become confident is to act before you feel ready. Let me tell you the truth about failure. It only wins if you stay down. But the moment you rise, the moment you take one more step, you steal failure's power. Colonel Sanders was rejected 1,009 times before someone believed in his chicken recipe. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. J.K. Rowling was turned down by 12 publishers. But they kept going. And because they kept going, the world remembers their names. Will you keep going? Will you rise when life knocks you down? Right now, you have a choice. You can let failure be the end of your story, or you can turn the page and write a new chapter. Failure is not your final destination. It's your training ground. And confidence? It's not given to those who never fail. It's given to those who fall and rise again. So stand up. Speak power into your life. Walk forward, not in fear, but in fire. The fire of resilience, the fire of unshakable belief. This is your moment, your turning point, your chance to take failure and transform it into the fuel that drives your greatest success. The world is waiting for your comeback. Don't disappoint it.